It may not be, but they're asking the question now that this data has access to it, will they use it or not? And whether they do or not, we don't know. But the question's out there. One
Yeah.
of the features that they have that everybody talks about is smart lists. And for smart lists, all it is, it's very simple, but it's basically a self-reducing list of names. And we added this back in November or December, I forget, where you can set up it's a smart list that says, I want a filter. It's all it is a filter. I want a filter of everybody that's in my milestone status or my milestone category of new. And I want to look at that milestone new change date, the date in which that new status was assigned. And if it's over 5 days, in this case, if it's over 5 days old, I want it to show on this list. If they change to a different status and that date is still 5 days, it doesn't matter because it's looking for a different milestone. It'll get removed from the list. So as soon as I change from a new status to a call attempted, that call attempted takes precedence and it removes them from the new list, the smart list. So it's a self-reducing list. And the whole goal here is to say, well, here are the people that were added to my database that I've not contacted in 5 days. And let's say for Ken Jenkins here. Okay, so I could go to Ken Jenkins and I could say, oh, I did make a call, it completed. As soon as I changed that right then, it went ahead and assigned an important date. Now I'm not showing it; I'm only showing the new one, but it added a date field to there. If I set the appointment, now it has set that appointment. Now, as soon as I do this, Ken Jenkins, and I go back, Ken Jenkins gets removed from this list. So he's no longer in my new list. He's now in my call attempted or my appointment set list. And it's a self-reducing list. And then I can set up here, I can set quick little icons that says, show me this list, show me my new list, show me my appointments list, show me my, whatever milestone that they're in. The whole goal here is it's also doing the same thing, kind of, if you come into your pipeline, it's the pipeline in a way, but it's showing where the people are and how the dates really aren't as an issue in the pipeline piece, where it is here and it self removes it. What I wanted to do was have the dashboard do the same thing for you. So here in the missed milestones, it's kind of a summary of that. We have our new leads, they're overdue. We should have already done something with them. I've got 12 people that are they're more than 1 hour overdue, meaning they came in and I've not done anything with them yet. Where's my speed to lead there? If I don't get to somebody within that first 5 minutes, some other agent potentially could get that lead, right? So I can click on the little 12 here and it would show me the list of all the people. It shows me, how many, in this case, I've got a bunch of demo stuff. So some of these go back to days or months, for things. Realistically, yours should be in the blue most of the time, where there's, less, you should be getting to them quicker than I am, because this is just demo data. But your goal here is to find, who do I need to contact now and start working my list.
How do people get on that list?
So they could have come in from emails that get sent to you, that get parsed automatically through SAM. They get added from your website, from Facebook lead ads, any number of ways that you're bringing those in right now. If you've got some kind of lead source, The assessments, as an assessment gets filled out, it creates a new assessment. It can assign them as a new lead at that point, if that's the type of process that's going on, that you're actually bringing in leads with that assessment. Leads can come in lots of different ways. We don't provide you with those leads. That's, other companies are great at SEO and attracting those, but once they attract them, funneling them into SAM is pretty easy, because we've got lots of different ways of doing that. We can do it through a CSV file. It's not as quick doing it that way, but in our integrations, you can set it up so that leads are emailed to you. So, like, do a for instance here. I'm just going to grab one of these. I don't know what it is here. So I've got a special email that could be from realtor.com. It could be from Zillow. It could be from your website or whatever. If they fill out a form, you could send that form data that they filled out, first name, last name, email, phone number, whatever, to this email address. And whenever Sam gets it in that email address, it can pre-assign some of these fields. Well, Milestone New is one of them. What language do they speak? What date field do you want to use? You can trigger different routines based off of different dates. So you could set up a special date field just for new website lead or new realtor.com lead date. Whenever it gets forwarded to this email address, it's assigned to that new date field, and it can start a routine to start feeding them on a regular basis, emails and text messages and stuff like that, putting it onto your calendar for phone calls or whatever. So the whole goal here is to get the lead in. You can do that through the email. We've got some lead forms that can be used.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but Laura, I think like really the answer to your question is the way they get on the list is they have to meet whatever criteria you have set up in your filter.
So on my contact, they have to.
So how do you get them to that filter? You can get them there a bunch of different ways, whether it's an incoming lead, because it could be an existing client and maybe the date of last contact changed or something. But essentially, they got to get to where they meet all the criteria you set up for that filter. And as soon as they do, they would be added to the list. Correct, Mark?
Correct.
And then
Correct.
as soon as they don't meet the criteria, they'll get removed from the list.
Correct. If you're talking about that piece. Yeah. I was thinking she was assuming how do you get them into the database, but
how does it get into the Milestone? Okay. But that would go through the contacts.
Through the contact record. As soon as you change this Milestone, that makes that filter a true filter, and a true state, and it will put it onto the list.
Okay. And it's not only a self-reducing, Laura, it's also a self-growing.
It could be self-growing. Actually, you're absolutely right.
You can just set up a filter that says, show me. I'm assuming I haven't done this yet. So again, stop me anytime, Mark. I'm totally speaking out of turn.
No,
but you can set up a filter that just says, show me all of my past clients that I have not talked to in at least, that I haven't talked to in the last 91 days. So like the date of contact was at least 91 days or more ago. And then they would get added onto that list as soon as they pass that mark.
Exactly. So if you ever need, you find yourself twiddling your thumbs and you don't know who to call, you can pull up any of these lists, and it's like, here's your instant list of people that you need to call.
One question I have for you, Mark, is because I'm not used to working it necessarily in terms of milestones, so I may need to kind of tweak how I look at that. But is your thought that basically any of these lists, any of these smart lists that you create would show up on that dashboard widget under the milestones thing, or could you potentially create a different, maybe create a widget that's like smart lists?
So and then I originally had just the contact stats, and it's the same thing where you can pick a certain date. So you come in here into categories and say, look at this date field. If it's past or next, it'll show up on here. I don't have over. I probably ought to add over to this list. over is kind of what Milestones is using. If it's over a certain number of days,
Okay.
then do that. It's the same thing, but you can choose any date field to do that. This milestone one was specific to the milestone date field because every time you change a status, a milestone item in that list, it automatically changes the date field for that item, so you know the last time it was set to that selection in the list. And it becomes this is what most coaches and trainers want you to go through. They want to say, okay, you got a new lead. Did you call attempted, call completed? Did I set an appointment? Did I meet with them? Maybe I set the appointment right here. The appointment was set for yesterday, but they didn't attend. They skipped out on us. Well, as soon as they skip out on us, the appointment met one, the set and the met kind of work together, and they would immediately show up saying, hey, we set the appointment, we didn't meet it. We were supposed to meet on a certain day and it didn't come in. So they would then show up, and then I can go in there and call them, hey, Adam and John, we didn't get to meet yesterday. Wanted to see if we can reschedule, blah, blah, blah. So the whole pipeline process is what most people teach, and what I've taught for a long time. I just didn't really call it that, but that is really where your tracking of your leads, whether they're old customers or they're new leads, either one can show up here.
Yeah, so you can have a new lead, you can have a hot lead, a warm lead, a cold lead, a nurture lead, or whatever.
Those are statuses of the leads. Yeah.
Yeah, and then base how frequently you want to call them based on their status or whatnot.
Correct. Now, in here, what we're doing is we're trying to give you some numbers to help you understand how good is your data, how good are you doing at managing your data. And if you've got a lot of red in here, which I don't currently, but if you've got a lot of red or even the yellows, these are things that they've got some things that you need to deal with. The blue is where you really want to be. You want to be lower than this if they're going to show up in here. If they've got yellow or red, you need to attend to those first. But what you can do is in the categories of this, you can specify what is the title of each one of these. What date am I checking? In this case, I'm looking for new leads. It's looking at the date field, milestone new changed. When did I change that milestone field to new? I did change it from just days to now you can choose either days or hours. So you can say if it's over 1 hour that this lead's been in my database and I've not reached out to them, flag me. A day is too long. An hour, I almost need to put minutes in there.
Yeah,
but
almost, right.
The problem with that is
it could get crazy fast.
Yeah, it really could. So I brought it down to just hours. If you guys want me to put in minutes, it's simple to do. I just didn't think that it was relevant. You can choose what status you want to flag this on. So in this case, I am doing the new one. And then there's context and guidance. So what you can do is using AI, you can say, okay, what is relevant about this field and why is it important? In this case, delays in the new milestone can lead to missed opportunities, blah, blah, blah. So it gives you the entire thing. Well, as you add these yourself, you can click on generate and let AI help you determine the importance of this and why it's there. Now, what happens then is instead of clicking on the number, if I click on the down arrow, now it's giving me guidance on why is this. So if I'm a new agent, why is this important? Well, it tells me why it's important. And then I can also, based off of my list, I can generate an AI insight. Okay, give me some with 100% of these contacts are in the new, blah, 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 30 days, they're averaging of 3.5 days or 30.5 days. I've got a problem. I need to lower that. So it's actually analyzing your data of your data. I mean, it's taking that next analytical step. Your goals are to get these numbers down tremendously. And the more you know the insights of your numbers, the better agent you'll become. At this point now, we've got a lot more power, a lot more capability in these charts. They do have automatic refresh on a lot of these, but they're like 24-hour refresh. If you know you've made some changes, you want to make sure it's the latest, greatest numbers, click on the little refresh button and it'll refresh it. Refreshing each and every time takes data processing, and typically you don't need it every time the screen is shown. But whenever you're focusing in on one particular thing or the other, just hit the refresh and make sure that everything is the way it should be.